Chrissy Teigen went viral for her comments about abortion at a White House event that was supposedly about, quote, reproductive freedom. So what did she say? And how do her words reflect the way that our culture thinks about and talks about abortion today? That's what we're going to kick off with today. We're going to discuss what Chrissy Teigen said when she was doing an interview with Kamala Harris and discuss why the things she said fit perfectly into the propaganda that we're fed about abortion. Also, second thing we're going to discuss today, the things they don't tell you about motherhood. I'm going to give you a list of things that I think all young women should know about motherhood that we don't really talk about enough that would be very helpful to know. Things that I wish I knew about motherhood before I became a mom. And then we'll wrap up with the question about why infertility seems to not only, but more so affect women in the middle class or upper middle class than it affects people who are in the lower socioeconomic status. Why is that? I'm going to give you my theory about why you see many more women who struggle with infertility when they're of upper middle class socioeconomic status versus people who live in poverty. Okay, so let's get started with the Chrissy Teigen abortion comments. This was a viral moment online, probably a few weeks ago at this point. Like I said earlier, she was doing some kind of event at the White House about reproductive freedom. Two words that I think are just so silly when they're put together. It reminds me of the terms like social justice, reproductive justice. If you have to put some sort of descriptor in front of the word justice, it just makes the whole thing ridiculous. Same thing with freedom. It's just nonsense words that are kind of put together, part of this word salad from the progressive left. But let's listen to what she had to say. I'll start it from the beginning here.
Hearing stories from your clinic, hearing that so many women come in there, and it's not a place of sadness all the time. It's not a place where people are feeling at their darkest points or anything like the world wants you to think. Some people go in there with so much hope and so much excitement because they know that they have a future. And so to see that so many people out there and the stories that you shared at your clinic of people having so much hope and positivity and a new outlook on life, it doesn't have to be this place of darkness and scary. And the level of comfort I felt just being at your clinic was so incredible. But I started crying once I saw this beautiful mural of butterflies above the operating suite. And I took one look at it and my eyes filled with tears. And I looked over at Dr. Zoe and she looked me in the eye and she said, "You could have had butterflies."
I don't get that last part. You could have had butterflies, whatever. Anyway, a lot to unpack here. The very first thing that stands out to me, and we'll get into the rest of it, is that notice that she essentially says that you don't have a future if you give birth to your child. Because she said in the video, she said, all these women come in with so much hope and so much excitement because they know they have a future. So essentially, you're saying that women who do give birth to their child, especially if it's an unplanned pregnancy, their life is going to end because they don't have a future if they become a mother. That is such a dehumanizing way to not only talk about children, but to talk about moms. What you're saying, that our lives end because we have become mothers. That's a pretty asinine thing to say. And just to give a little bit more context about this conversation, I don't know if you guys remember, but Chrissy Teigen went viral a couple of years ago at this point because she had a miscarriage. And from what she shared, she had a kind of a late miscarriage. Something was wrong with the baby. And I'm not going to get into the conspiracy theories because they're actually quite in depth. Some people claim, I'm just sharing information here, I'm not saying anything, but sharing the information. Some people claim that it was just a PR stunt because it happened right after she got caught deleting 60,000 tweets that were, how do I describe this diplomatically, that were pedophilic in nature. So anyway, but I digress. So she had a miscarriage and she posted some photos and some details about the story with her and John Legend on her Instagram, and it was flooded with condolences and many people reaching out and saying, "I'm so sorry. This is a horrible thing for you to have to go through." And then a couple of years later, maybe a year and a half later, she came forward and she said, "I actually realized that I didn't have a miscarriage. I had an abortion. And I'm so glad that I had access to abortion care." So she totally flipped her story. And That's why when she said in this interview, and I felt so safe at your clinic, talking about an abortion clinic, she just completely changed her story. Why did she do that? Because she wants to fit it into this narrative, this progressive feminist narrative that says abortion is healthcare, because abortion is the treatment for a miscarriage. Which it's not, because everyone knows it doesn't matter what kind of medical language, medical jargon they use in the system, which of course is in bed with the abortion industry. We all know, all the providers too, every so-called expert and every lay person knows the difference between an abortion and a miscarriage. A miscarriage is when a child tragically passes away before he or she is born of natural causes. I miscarried twins in early 2023. I'm sure some of you women listening, some of you moms listening, you have probably had a miscarriage at some point too. Statistically, they say 1 in every 5 women, especially those early miscarriages. An abortion, however, is an intentional termination of a pregnancy, which means that an intentional ending of that life in the womb, whether you're 6 weeks pregnant or 4 months pregnant, whatever it might be. They are two different things, but the propaganda machine that comes through Hollywood, influencers, celebrities, media, all these newspapers, women's magazines, they want you to believe that they are one and the same. Abortion and miscarriage are exactly the same, and they want to make you believe that women will not be able to get proper health care and medical care when they're having a miscarriage if abortion is outlawed in their state. And that has been disproven so many times. A woman will always have access to a DNC. That's the procedure that is sometimes used with a miscarriage when the body doesn't naturally expel all of the tissue in the uterus. Sometimes women who have a miscarriage, they have to go in for a DNC. It's a very sad thing. That's essentially when they have to scrape out the remaining tissue in the uterus. It is not, from what I hear, it is not a pleasant experience. A DNC is also used for a surgical abortion, which is when the doctor goes in and they tear the baby out limb from limb, crush the baby's skull with forceps, and then they scrape out the remainder of the tissue in the uterus. So they want to make you believe that women who have a miscarriage are not going to have access to treatments like DNC if abortion is outlawed. Again, that is a complete lie. You can look at the bills yourself. You can look at all of the bills that have been passed. There is always something in the bill that says that every woman who has a miscarriage is going to have access to treatment. And side note, a lot of abortion activists like to claim that women aren't able to receive treatments for an ectopic pregnancy if abortion is outlawed in their state. The CDC themselves, you can look on their website, a treatment for ectopic pregnancy is not abortion, because abortion, according to the CDC and the conventional medical system, an abortion is only a treatment for an intrauterine pregnancy, which means a child that's inside the uterus. An ectopic pregnancy is not a pregnancy that's inside the uterus, which is why it's non-viable. It's in the fallopian tubes. And the treatment for an ectopic pregnancy is not at all the same as a treatment that might be done for a miscarriage, and it's definitely not the same as an abortion. So it is complete misinformation. You know, this term misinformation. Misinformation is probably going to be slapped on this episode, because anyone who dares to speak about the truth of abortion, they're slapped with a misinformation warning. But it is actual misinformation to say that abortion or a DNC is necessary for the treatment of an ectopic pregnancy. That's not true. Anyway, so Chrissy Teigen came forward about 1.5 years after her miscarriage and then flipped the script and changed her story for sympathy points, for the feminist narrative, for, I don't know, more attention, whatever it might be. And now she's saying that she actually had an abortion and didn't have a miscarriage. So she says in this video that women have a lot of hope and excitement when they go to the clinic to have an abortion, to terminate their pregnancy, to end the life of their child inside their womb. And I want you to notice here how the conversation of abortion has changed over the years. 20 years ago, we were told that abortion should be safe, legal, and rare. Remember that? That was a famous line that was, of course, perpetuated by politicians like Hillary Clinton. They wanted to make the public believe that nobody was celebrating abortions. It was just a rare procedure that was done when the woman's life was in danger, or if it was a circumstance of rape or incest. Then that changed over the years to, well, it's a woman's choice, but it's not something that we celebrate. It's a very tragic, sad thing, but it is a woman's choice. And then the conversation changed again. It turned into women holding up signs and wearing t-shirts at women's marches saying, I had 21 abortions, shout your abortion from the rooftop, no more stigma, no more shame around abortions. And then it translated into Miley Cyrus holding up a cake on social media, licking it with her tongue, and the cake said abortion is healthcare. And now we're at the point where abortion is a procedure that women go to have with hope and excitement because it gives them a future that they wouldn't have if they gave birth to their child. Do you see how it's changed? And the narrative will continue to change. This is just another example of the upside down. I talk a lot about the upside down of our culture. They constantly try, and in many cases have succeeded at flipping the script, where right is wrong and wrong is right. So obesity is not a metabolic disorder that is connected with a host of chronic diseases that affects almost half of American adults today. No, they say that obesity is beautiful, that it's virtuous, and now the Women's Health magazines say that it's healthy. Remember I think it was the Women's Health or the Cosmopolitan magazine cover, I forgot one of them, where they have the obese models on the cover and the headline literally says, this is healthy. They flipped the script on so many things. One, especially being abortion. They are now trying to convince you that abortion is not only something that should be rare or should be available in extreme cases. They're now telling you that it's exciting, it's hopeful, and it's the right thing to do because it gives women a future. Come join the best women's health experience online today. My women's health group called The Shift is a wonderful online community of hundreds of women who are dedicated to improving their health and their wellness. In my group, you get access to so many different things that are going to help you improve your health, whether you want to lose weight, balance your hormones, improve your fertility, whatever it might be. Every month we do a different health challenge in my group. Sometimes we do fitness challenges. Sometimes we do meal prep challenges. Sometimes we do challenges for balancing your hormones. And there's always something new to work on. So we're constantly moving forward together. I also offer recipes and weekly workouts in the group. And there's so many webinars and interviews and exclusive podcast episodes with guests where we can talk about an array of topics that aren't really allowed to be talked about online, like on YouTube. I've got interviews with holistic OBGYNs, holistic practitioners, frequency medicine doctors, nutritionists, doulas, everything that you might be looking for. And of course, we talk about health from a holistic perspective. We talk about marriage, motherhood, and we're able to share a lot more information in there that we might not necessarily be able to share online on YouTube. So go to the link in the description in the show notes and join The Shift, my women's health group. It's at a really affordable price. We've got so much going on there, and I have additional programs and weight loss programs in there if you're looking for something additional. So join us. We've got hundreds of supportive women who are on the same path to improve their health and their lifestyle, and we'll see you inside The Shift. And so it will continue to change and evolve, and I'm sure that we will continue to see more people fight for late-term abortions. And you've even heard politicians and some influencers talk about the importance of after-birth abortions. You know, it's just going to get crazier and crazier. But when Chrissy Teigen talks about women having hope and excitement when they go to the clinic, I want you to realize what's happening here. We have replaced objective morality with subjective feelings and subjective experience. So she is claiming, along with many other women who get online and talk about abortions, they are all claiming that because the woman feels good about it, because she feels hopeful, because she feels excited, because she feels happy, that it's the right thing to do. So it doesn't matter to them what's right or wrong, because to them, there is no objective morality. And that's really what it boils down to in our culture. We have tossed out the idea of objective morality and we've replaced it with subjective experience. As long as you feel like it's okay, as long as you feel good about it, there's no right and wrong. You do you, honey. Do whatever you need to do. You go, girl, because it's not about what's right or what's wrong, because what's right for one person might be wrong for another and vice versa. You can't tell women what to do because there's no such thing as right and wrong. And they'll say things like, don't push your religious values on us. Newsflash, honey, literally everybody's morality, everybody's moral compass comes from their religious views, whether you are a Christian, a Jew, a Muslim, an atheist, a Unitarian, Universalist, whatever it might be, because we're all humans, and human beings are naturally religious beings. So we all have religious views, and that's where we derive all of our morals and all of our values. That's why we want a nation that is based on Christian values, because it is the supreme, it is the only objective moral compass that is right, that is correct. You might think yours is correct, but ours is correct. And we invite you over to the correct side. But do you see what I mean? They have replaced, very cunningly, very sneakily replaced objective morality with subjective feeling and subjective experience. And this is very, very dangerous. You know why? Because it replaces order with chaos. I've said many times in previous episodes, they want to push things like polyamory and non-monogamy and body positivity and fat acceptance, all of these things. They want to use all of these things to tear down the order of any thriving moral society. And they chip away little by little, little by little. And they say, it's always, why do you care what people look like? Why do you care if people are obese? Mind your own business. You do you, and we'll stay in our lane. Live and let live. And they chip away and they chip away. And they say, why do you care if couples are non-monogamous? How does it threaten your view of marriage? And they chip away and they chip away. Why do you care if a woman gets an abortion? If you don't want an abortion, don't get one yourself. And this is how they chip away at the order of a thriving moral society, like I said. And they replace it with chaos, because chaos it comes from the devil. It comes from evil. It comes from the evil one. That is how it is. Our God is a God of order. The Christian God that we believe in, Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, is a God of order. And order is necessary for any thriving society, but they want to toss out order and they want to give us chaos, because chaos is when it's much easier for a one world order, for a one government to come in and take over. You will own nothing and you will be happy. It's all chaos. That's what they want. But here's the thing, regardless of how many celebrities sit on a stage with Kamala Harris and tell you how happy women are to go get abortions, abortion is objectively wrong. It is objectively immoral. And I honestly say this, if you have followed me for a little while, you know that my message has softened over the years, because I do want to approach particularly the conversation of abortion with compassion. But just because you approach something with compassion and softness doesn't mean that you have to throw out objective morality. The truth is, abortion is wrong. It's immoral in every circumstance. I understand that many women who go to get an abortion, they're hurting, and they feel like they do feel like they're going to have no future if they give birth to this child that is an unplanned pregnancy. But whether you're having a medical or a surgical abortion, you are ending the innocent life of your child in the womb. Whether that child is 4 weeks old or 4 months old in your womb. The medical abortion is when you take a pill. It's actually 2 pills. One of them is mifepristone. I always mispronounce that word. But what happens is it kills it sucks out all the progesterone from your uterus, and it essentially starves the baby to death, so that the baby has no more nutrients. The baby starves and shrivels up and dies in your uterus. And then with that medical abortion, with the pill, you pass the child. You essentially deliver. In some cases, they give you something to dilate the cervix so that dead baby has to come out, even if that baby is the size of your fingernail. Because remember, with any abortion, whether it's medical or surgical, that child has to come out of your body. It doesn't just disappear and get reabsorbed into your body. It has to come out. So a medical abortion is when they use the pill, and that's wrong. It's immoral. It ends an innocent human life. And then there's the surgical abortion, which is less common. It's done less frequently because it's a little bit later in the pregnancy. But that's when, like I said earlier, essentially a D&C where the doctor has to go in, rip out the baby's limbs one by one, and then crush the baby's skull and remove all of the excess tissue. There have been many abortions where the child is not, I hate saying this, but the child is not fully deceased. The child is still delivered alive. And in many cases, in all cases, in an abortion, they either let the child die or they end the child's life on the surgical table, whatever it might be. So this is not about women's empowerment. And I know that most of you listening I know that most of my audience is female, and I know that I get a lot of listeners usually who come in and are not They don't consider themselves conservative or on the right. And that's okay, because I want my message to be heard by women from all sides of the political aisle. But I used to be, quote, pro-choice too. I used to believe that it was about a woman's choice. I used to think it was about a woman's empowerment and liberation. That is how we were all bred to believe about, to think about the abortion industry and the abortion issue. We were all just led to believe that it's about women's choice, and it's about letting women make whatever decision they want to make with their body. But it's not, because as you say, oh, my body, my choice, your baby's body, it may be located inside your body temporarily, but it's not your body. Separate DNA, separate entity, separate life that begins at conception, which is a scientific consensus. All experts and scientists, of course, have agreed, they have to agree that life begins at conception. You might have some rogue ones that claim, no, it doesn't. It begins, I don't know when they say, because if it doesn't begin at life, when does it begin? And everyone has a different answer. But abortion is always wrong. It is always immoral, and it ends the innocent life of your child in the womb. And you know, they talk about, oh, I'm not ready to become a mother. You are a mother the second that you conceive. That is your child. And just because you think that child just goes away, you think you're just going to make that child disappear, that you were never a mother. That's why so many women, all women who miscarry, we mourn those children that we lose, that we're not able to hold, that we're not able to give birth to. I've got 2 babies in heaven. I miscarried twins last year. Those are my children. I'm a mother to them, even though I didn't get to see them in this life. And it's a very difficult conversation, because the propaganda of abortion has convinced so many women that it's about supporting other women. Of course I want to support other women, right? When I was in college, I'm like, yeah, of course I want to support women. I'm not someone who hates women. So yeah, I'm pro-choice. They make you believe that's the only thing that you should support if you actually support women. But there is nothing more anti-women than abortion. There is nothing more anti-women than convincing them that their life is going to end if they step into that sacred role of motherhood. Will your life be different? Yeah. Will your life be harder? Certainly, for a time being. But it is our job as mothers to protect our children, no matter how small they are, no matter what they may look like in your womb, no matter what stage of development they are. And every time I talk about abortion, I always get angry young women in the comment section, because they have been programmed like little tiny soldiers online, like these keyboard warriors. And this is intentional. And they come out so angry, and they call pro-life or anti-abortion people names. And they say that we're trying to end women's freedoms, and that we hate women. We want to control women's bodies. And they say you can't legislate our bodies. Newsflash, guys, a lot of legislation is about what you can or cannot do with your body. Of course you can legislate morality. Of course you can legislate what people can do with their bodies. You cannot use your body to harm another human being, no matter where that human being may be located. Whether that human being is in your womb, whether that human being is in your home, outside of your home, wherever it might be. You can't steal. You can't physically attack someone. You can't murder somebody. You can't do these things to other people. You can't use your body to harm other people. And just because your child is located inside of you, that doesn't just give you a free pass to end their life. And then people will say, oh, well, it's legal. Okay, slavery used to be legal. Just because we legislate something doesn't mean that it's objectively moral. It's a difficult conversation, but it is important to hold the line and say with love and with compassion and with conviction that abortion is always wrong. There is always forgiveness and redemption. I am not ever going to be someone that says there's no forgiveness for women who have had abortions in the past. In fact, we're seeing many more women come forward on TikTok and Instagram and talk about their abortion regret, because they realize that, especially after they have another child later, they hold the baby and they realize, oh my gosh, this was another child I could have had. And they're coming forward and they're talking about the regret and the hurt that they feel over ending that child's life. And sadly, the comments on these videos are just asinine. They say terrible things like, oh, baby spirits are very forgiving, like crazy new age stuff. And they say things like, you did the right thing because it's better to to essentially end a child's life than it is to bring them into a world where you're not ready to be a mom. Just horrible comments. But like I said, we can still have compassion for these women, and we can still let them know that there is forgiveness and redemption, while also staying true to the fact that abortion is always wrong, no matter how you feel about it. It doesn't matter if you go in feeling hopeful, because your feelings are not the arbiters of morality and justice. Our feelings are not always valid, which is something we're going to discuss a little bit later when we talk about motherhood. Not all of your feelings are valid, and they do not dictate morality. So it doesn't matter, Chrissy Teigen, if you or any other woman walked into an abortion clinic feeling good and feeling excited. It's still wrong. It doesn't matter how many mainstream machines try to convince us that abortion is about empowerment and liberation. It's still wrong. Yes, of course, we need to support women who are in need, and don't even try to pull that card with me. Oh, you pro-life people only care about children in the womb. You don't care about when they're born. Conservative pro-life individuals statistically donate the most time, money, effort, and energy toward mothers, children, families in need, in poverty, whatever need they might have. It's the pro-life conservative Christians who donate the most time and money and effort toward helping those people. So do not ever let someone convince you that pro-life people only care about kids in the womb. I never personally use the term pro-life or pro-choice, because to me, they're both propaganda terms that mean nothing. I use the terms pro-abortion or anti-abortion, because pro-choice, what does choice mean? What? You don't get the choice to end someone's life regardless of their location or their age or what they look like or their development. No. And pro-life, what does that mean? I'm pro-life. I mean, I'm not pro-life in every single situation. I support the death penalty for certain crimes. I am anti-abortion. And if you're someone who says, oh, well, I'm not going to get an abortion myself. I don't believe in it myself, but I believe in a woman's choice or her right to choose. Okay. That's just like saying, I'm not going to say 200 years ago, I'm not going to own a slave because it's not what I believe in myself. But if someone else wants to own a slave, they can. Does that make sense to you? No, that's why it's not about choice. You are pro-abortion if you are okay with people getting abortions. And I'm anti-abortion. So I don't use those terms because I find them to just be part of the propaganda machine. But I understand that in conversation, we have to use pro-life or pro-choice in many cases so people understand what we're talking about. So I have been pro-choice in the past. In my college years, my graduate school years, I thought that was the way to support women. But as I get older and the more that I learn about what abortion is, the more that I learn about the abortion industry and how it preys on vulnerable women and how much money the abortion industry makes, how they not only encourage women to end their children's life, but they use the fetus and the embryo, the unalived baby for research and other heinous things. The more that I learn about the abortion industry, the more it becomes clear that there is nothing pro-women about it. There is nothing about abortion that actually supports women, because you encouraging a woman to end the life of her own child, that's not doing any good for her, no matter how she feels about it and no matter how easy it might be in those first years after the abortion to not have a child. So let's move into the next section. But first, a word from our sponsors. Did you know that most diaper companies donate money to abortion funds and support abortion campaigns? That's why I'm so proud to partner with Every Life Diapers. This pro-life company is openly supportive of mothers, children, families, and the right to life. And they have a wonderful product. Both of my kids use these diapers. Not only are they easy to use and they're comfortable, but they're leak-free, so you don't have to worry about those messes in the middle of the night. I have never had a blowout mess since using Every Life diaper with my newborn baby, which is very, very rare. I love the product, and I also, of course, love supporting Every Life in their mission. It is so rare today to find a company that is openly pro-life and openly supportive of mothers and families. So that's why I'm so proud to be supporting Every Life, and you can support them too while also getting a fantastic product. Use my code 10GINA for 10% off of your first order with Every Life. And even if you're not a mom and if you don't have kids that are in diapers, it makes a great gift. So if you know a mom who's about to have her first child, or you know families that have multiple kids who are in diapers, this makes a fantastic gift. So use my code 10GINA at checkout and support this amazing company that has an amazing product. Let's talk about the things they don't tell you about motherhood. I'm going to walk you through some of the things I wish I I had known a little bit more before I became a mom, and things that I want young women to know before they become moms. And even if you're already a mom, a lot of these things can be helpful to hear, because when we talk about these things, they help us be better mothers and better women. Number one, not all your feelings are valid. Not all of your feelings are valid as a mother. You are going to feel a lot of things as a mom. You already feel a lot of things as a woman. We feel things. We feel many things. And the sort of therapy speak that we see online today and we hear online today, it's all about affirming all of your feelings. Your feelings are valid, honey. Your feelings are valid. How many times have you heard that online? How many times have you heard that from a friend or from a therapist or whatever? All of your feelings are valid. No, they're not. I hate to break it to you, but not all of your feelings are valid. In fact, we are definitely going to have days where our feelings are not correct. They're not accurately reflective of our life and not accurately reflective of what is around us and how we should approach parenthood and approach our life and approach our kids. And when you are a mom, especially of young children, you go through pregnancy, birth, and postpartum in those early motherhood years, your hormones are doing a lot of different things. They say that it takes 6 weeks for your hormones to sort of regulate after you have a baby. But there's a lot of experts and, some research saying that it actually takes up to 2 years for your body to fully regulate again after pregnancy, after birth. And if your hormones are not fully balanced, you're going to feel many things. And just because your hormones make you feel a lot of things doesn't mean that they're all valid. So you're going to feel excited, euphoric, happy, grateful. You're also going to feel very angry. You're going to feel resentful. You're going to feel jealous. You're going to feel hopeless. You're going to feel a lot of things when you're a mom. And you have to keep reminding yourself that not every single feeling is valid. And that just because you feel a certain way with your kids or you feel a certain way with your husband, that doesn't mean that it's right and that you should act on those feelings. And we are told the complete opposite today about motherhood and about womanhood. Whatever you feel is valid. No, not everything is valid. You're going to have to learn to decipher between which feelings come from a real place and which feelings are just a result of being overtired, a result of being angry. And you have to take responsibility for your own feelings too. This reminds me a little bit of what I was talking about in a previous episode. I've talked about Nara Smith and Ballerina Farm and the hate they get online. And one of the reasons why women absolutely hate these two figures is because they claim they are making women feel insecure about motherhood because they make motherhood look so beautiful and perfect. And someone was in my mentions on the last video and she said, I hate Nara Smith because she gives an unrealistic version of motherhood and women are trying so hard and she makes them feel insecure. You have to take responsibility for your own feelings, ladies. If a woman online, if a beautiful supermodel online who's cooking for her kids makes you feel insecure, that's not her making you feel insecure. That's your own insecurity. And you cannot blame other people, whether it's an influencer or your husband or your kids, for making you feel a certain way. We have to take responsibility for our own feelings, and we have to be able to decipher when feelings are useful, when they're productive, and when they're not. And the more that you dwell on all of your feelings, the harder it's going to be a mother and a wife successfully. You can still be a mother and a wife, but it's not going to be as great if you constantly answer your own feelings. So no, not all of your feelings are valid. Number two, there are a lot more options to being a mom than trad or feminist. These are the two extremes that we're given today online. You're either a feminist mom who talks about how much your kids have ruined your life, and you're the wine o'clock mom who can't wait to have wine or a cocktail at the end of the day, and your husband's just a deadbeat, he doesn't do anything, and you're doing all this free domestic labor, and women are awesome and they do everything and men are so useless. I'm a single married mom. You've heard that term before. And then there's the other extreme of the trad wife who only cooks and cleans and takes care of the kids and is not involved with any bills or not allowed to look at news and politics online and what's going on in the culture and just stays at home and bakes sourdough and that's it. Let me tell you, ladies, there are a lot more options between those two. And there's a lot more fulfilling options between those two. Real life is not the trad wife aesthetic that you see online. And I say this as a wife and a mother who stays home and cooks all of our meals and does all of our laundry and will homeschool our kids. Like, that trad aesthetic is really it's a fetish, like I've talked about many times before. I have a whole episode on how the trad trend is actually not very traditional. So you can go back and listen to that if you want. But then there's the other extreme of the feminists. Like, there's more in between. You can be a full, whole woman, human being, and still be grateful to be a mom and be the primary giver of your kids and not hate your husband. There is so much more. Stop looking at the internet and stop looking online for these extreme figures of motherhood that are actually not very useful and not very productive, because there's a lot more to motherhood and wifehood than these figures that you see online, the feminists or the trad. Number 3, you cannot have it all when your kids are young. You've heard that phrase, you can have it all, just not at the same time. I think that we're seeing, of course, we've seen the girl boss babe movement over the last 15 years, telling women that they can have it all. You can work full time and be successful and be a boss babe, entrepreneur, climb the corporate ladder and be a mom. You can't be a full-time entrepreneur or a full-time employee and be a full-time mom to young children. It's physically impossible. Not because you suck or you can't do it or you're less than. It's because you are physically a human and there are only so many hours in the day. And I wrote about this on my Instagram the other day. I talked about how we need to be more honest with women and tell them that you cannot have it all, particularly when your kids are a certain age, when they're young. This is not a message of discouragement. It's just a message of honesty and reality so that women can properly make decisions for their future. For example, I had to give up my job, I chose to give up my job, and we made sacrifices. I made sacrifices professionally. We made sacrifices financially. I had a great job, 6-figure salary, great benefits. I got to travel and do so many fun things, got a lot of free stuff. It was great. Access to a lot of very interesting people, famous people. I gave all of that up. And that's because it was more important to me to be home with my kids and to raise my own children, be their primary caregiver. I've never missed a single milestone, a single bedtime, a single feeding. I've never missed any of their first words or their big milestones. I've been there for it all. And that was the most important thing to me. And if you are a full-time working mom, you are going to miss out on a lot of that. It's just how it is, again, because physically there are only so many hours in the day. So this is not a message saying that all women have to completely give up all of their professional dreams when they have kids. What I'm saying is that the reality is when your kids are very young, they require much more time from you than when they're like 10 to 15 years old, for example, right? Especially if you are planning to send your kids to school, if there's like a good school that you trust and your kids are like 6, 7, 8 years old, your kids are going to be in school for like 6 to 8 hours a day if you don't plan to homeschool them. That frees up several hours a day to continue working on whatever your professional dreams are. But when your kids are like 3, 4, 5 and under, they need you all day long, especially 3 and under. They need you. Developmentally, they need you more when they're under the age of 3 than they do when they're 6, 7, or 8 years old and upwards. I highly recommend the book Being There by Erica Komisar. It explains the biology and the physiology of why it's so important for children ages 3 and under to have their mommies with them every day. That's an extremely important time developmentally compared to when the kids are older. So you can't have it all when your kids are young. And that's okay. That is okay. So you're going to have to choose your hard, decide which is more important to you, but don't fall into the lie that you can have it all when the kids are young. It's important to prepare for that young age. If you are someone who's professionally driven and you want to maintain like a side income or some part-time work at home, you can do that when your kids are young. You know, I do part-time work. Obviously, I do a couple hours of content a week and I have some coaching clients. I'm blessed to be able to work a little bit from home part-time when the kids are asleep on the weekend, whatever, when I have a little help from my husband or my family. But it's definitely not something where I'm able to grow my business the way that I always dreamed of, because it's impossible to do both. Again, this is a message of honesty and reality, not a message of discouragement. Number 4, this is something you never hear, and I think it's so important. Motherhood makes you a better person. This is a very hopeful message about motherhood that I hope every young woman understands. Motherhood makes you a better person. It makes you more compassionate. It makes you more invested in the future of our society and our culture, because you have these children that are going to carry life forward after you leave this earth. And it makes you more invested in your health. It makes you more concerned about the world around you, makes you more patient, makes you more kind. It helps you regulate your emotions more. There's so much about motherhood that makes you a better person if you would just let it. It goes one of two ways. Either you let motherhood just totally take you over and destroy you, or if you step into it fully, it's going to make you a better person. You're going to be stronger, more confident than ever. You're going to have better instincts. It's a mom thing. And I think that's a really exciting, encouraging thing for women. Like you just feel so invincible after you have kids. After you give birth, you're like, I can do anything. I can do anything. And then you become a mom and you raise these children and you realize that they look to you for everything and you're their hero for the first years of their life, maybe until they turn like 15. They get the attitude of the teenagers, but you're their everything. And it's so fulfilling, and it just makes you want to be a better person. And I would encourage every woman to lean into that when you become a mom. Lean into it. Hold on to it. Let that motivate you. Let that drive you to be a better person. Because if you just open up your heart to motherhood, you will be a much better person every day. It will sharpen you. It will challenge you. And it will just make you a better person. I don't know how else there is to say it. There's no other way to say it. Number 5, you're not supposed to do motherhood alone, ladies. I know that with the American dream and the Western American culture, the pull yourself up by your bootstraps ethos, we've been taught that this hyper individualism that we're taught from a young age, I think it's detrimental to motherhood and to families. You are not supposed to do motherhood all alone. You are supposed to have help. Our ancestors had so much help from extended family, from friends, from our high trust village, from trusted hired help, apprentices. We always had help. So you're not supposed to do it alone. And if you feel lonely and isolated and if you don't have help, I want you to know that's not the way that God designed family and motherhood. So I would really encourage you to reach out. And if you're not a mom yet, if you're young, if you're listening to this, before you have children, make sure you establish a strong community and a high trust village of some kind. Hopefully that involves some family members, but because of the nature of our modern society, most people live far away from their parents and their extended family. They don't live close to family anymore. And that's okay. You can still create a strong community in a high trust village of sorts, even if you don't live near your blood family, your blood relatives. So I would highly encourage you young women to create that community before you have kids, because you're not supposed to do it alone. And I promise you, motherhood becomes much more manageable, much more joyful and fulfilling when you have the support of other women, when you have the support of family and friends. That's how it should be. This postpartum phase I'm in with my son, it has honestly been so enjoyable. And I know a lot of women really struggle with the postpartum because it's not enjoyable. Their hormones are all over the place. They feel lonely. I feel so supported. It's been wonderful. I love it. Sure, there are hard moments. Yeah, of course. But motherhood is not supposed to be done in isolation. So don't allow yourself to be alone when you're a mom. Next, I think we're at number 6 now. This is a tough one, a little bit uncomfortable truth. What you do for your health before you get pregnant matters even more than what you do during and after your pregnancy. It really matters a lot more what you do before. So when women ask me, how did you lose the postpartum weight? You got back to your postpartum self. You got back to that level of fitness. How did you do it? And my initial answer is always a variation of, it's not about what I did after birth. It's not about what I did postpartum. It's really mostly about what I did before I even got pregnant. Because when you are healthy and when you have a certain level of fitness before you even get pregnant, it is much easier for your body to return to that after you have kids. It's much easier for your body to shed the excess body fat, for your hormones to regulate, for you to be fit and strong after kids if you were healthy and strong and fit before you had kids. So if you're young, if you're in your 20s, ladies, girls, do not waste time. It's so easy to get in good shape when you're in your 20s. Some of my most successful clients in my weight loss program, they lost like 25 pounds in 12 weeks because they're like 24 years old. When you're young, when you're in your 20s, oh my gosh, take advantage of that time to get in the best shape ever. Get as hot as you possibly can. Because if you do that, if you're in your best shape ever when you're 25 and you just maintain it, it's easy to maintain it rather than losing the weight and trying to achieve that physique when you're 35. If you already have that level of health and physique when you're 27, 25, 27, whatever, you just maintain and kind of coast. And then in your 30s, it's easy to get back to that if you need to, if that's your baseline. So if you're in your 20s, girl, go to the gym, work out, get fit, look hot as you can. Don't waste your time drinking and going out and partying and being like, oh, I'll get in shape next year. I'll get in shape next month, whatever. Stop procrastinating because it's so easy to do it now. And it's much easier to maintain it. And then when you have kids and afterwards, it's much easier to go back to it. Okay? Okay? I told you. Listen to me, young ladies. Use your youth wisely. Ever heard that phrase, youth is wasted on the young? Oh man, how true it is. If only I knew everything that I knew now when I was 23, my gosh, my life would have just been perfect. No such thing as perfect, but you get what I'm saying. Last one. This is more of a sort of emotional, esoteric way to talk about motherhood. Motherhood, I learned, it's surprisingly isolating and lonely, especially even like from your husband. It can be such a lonely experience, motherhood. It's hard to explain, but I would encourage young women to kind of brace yourself for this feeling of I'm an island and nobody gets me, nobody gets my experience. I feel like I'm totally alone in this. Because even though you may have 100 moms around you, every single mom has a different experience with pregnancy, with birth, with postpartum, with their kids. It's so hard. It feels like a very lonely experience. Even if you have your husband right there next to you who's so supportive and loves you, it's very hard to explain. But you feel very alone because no one else fully understands your experience. And I think this contributes a lot to women who struggle with postpartum depression and just feeling really terrible during the early years of motherhood. But this is why personally my faith has been crucial to the early years of motherhood. My Orthodox Christian faith has really taken me through moments where I feel like I've got nobody and nothing else. And you will feel like that. Even if you have a strong community around you or a strong family, you will have moments as a mom in those early years where you feel so alone and nobody gets you and it's just dark. And that's why you have to have something that's bigger than you. That's why I recommend all women live a Christ-centered life and go find an Orthodox Christian parish. Ladies, go find a Christian community that will help hold you and that will help you keep your faith strong in the Lord. Because there is nothing in this world that can fulfill you the way that Christ does, especially in those very isolating, lonely moments of motherhood. That's my final piece of advice. Things that I wish I knew before motherhood. Before I became a mom, I was what you would probably consider like, I guess a non-denominational Protestant Christian, like a believer, but I grew up in a mega church, non-denominational mega church, where it was a very like experiential feeling of salvation. I mean, experiential approach to salvation. But as we became Orthodox after my first child was born, when she was about a year and a half old, we started attending Orthodox church. And I wish I had found the church sooner because it has been the greatest thing for not only my faith and my own personal growth, but for our family and for our marriage and for motherhood in general. It's been the best thing ever. Okay, the last thing we're going to talk about now is why infertility attacks certain socioeconomic statuses over others. But first, a word from our sponsor. Ladies, did you know that if you have a menstrual cycle, you should be taking a prenatal multivitamin every day? Not only if you are trying to get pregnant or if you're pregnant or nursing. The prenatal multivitamin is great for women in their childbearing years, regardless of your pregnancy plan. So if you have a menstrual cycle, you should be taking a prenatal multivitamin every day. There are so many nutrients in here that are important for healthy hormones, a healthy menstrual cycle, a period that's much more manageable. It'll help reduce your menstrual cramps and PMS symptoms. And there's so many things in here that your body needs if you still have a menstrual cycle. And it's especially important to find a prenatal that has folate instead of folic acid. And it's actually kind of hard to find. There's so many prenatals out there that use folic acid, which is the synthetic form of folate that's not bioavailable to the body. So I highly recommend the First Form prenatal multivitamin. I've been taking this for 5 years, long before my first pregnancy. And it's a fantastic product. It gives you so much energy in the morning. It really helps to regulate your mood and your menstrual cycle. So I highly recommend it. Please use my affiliate link in the description in the show notes. Just click on that, make your first purchase. This company is also fantastic. They're very pro-America and patriotic, so it's a win-win. You know, you're supporting a company that has the same values as you, and they have excellent customer service. So if you need to make a return, it's 100% money, 110% money back guarantee. And let me know if you guys have any questions about the products. Let's take a look at this tweet that went viral. This person, Cinnamon Girl, I don't know who she is, but this was a great question that she posed. She said, why are the people suffering from infertility usually healthy-looking middle-class people? Poor, overweight people who buy their food at Walmart and use radioactive cosmetic products seem to be totally fine. This is a great question because it also aligns with what we know about the birth rates by demographic. Poor women, they're the ones who have a lot of kids. Statistically, they're the ones who have a lot of kids. So that's why when I always ask the question, why is the birth rate declining? Why is the fertility rate declining? About the birth rate in particular, people are like, are you stupid? It's because we can't afford to have kids anymore. It's too expensive, which I understand. We're in a terrible time right now in our economy. It is very expensive to have kids. But if it's too expensive to have kids, why are all the poor people having kids? And why are they all making it? Why do the poor people have more kids than middle class and upper class women? And she's onto something here. When we talk about women who are struggling with infertility, it's almost always the middle or upper middle class women. Why is that? And they're the healthy looking ones. They're the ones who they generally kind of work out and they are at usually a healthy weight. But it's like the poor fat people who, like she said, buy their food at Walmart and slather themselves in toxin-ridden cosmetics and drink the tap water with all the endocrine disruptors and smoke menthols a pack a day. They're popping out like 6 kids. Why is that? I have a theory. I have 3 things that I think contribute to this phenomenon. And I would love to hear you guys add some more because you can probably think of some other reasons. Number 1, it's because the women who are living in poverty or the lower socioeconomic status start having kids at a younger age. The age that you start having kids, of course, is going to affect your fertility as you get older. I talked about this in a previous episode. Getting pregnant at 37 is way easier if you started having kids in your 20s than if you have never had a child before at all. And women who are in the middle, especially upper middle class, they generally delay having kids. Why? Because they go to college, they may go to graduate school, they get a good job, they want to climb the corporate ladder, they want to be successful, they have a plan for their life. So they want to delay getting married and having kids because they want to spend their 20s working hard, saving money, becoming more professionally successful. So then they're like 32 and they're like, okay, let's get married. And then they're 35 and they try to start having kids. And it's harder to have kids at that age when you've never had kids before versus a woman who's living in poverty. She turned 18, she got knocked up. And when you have a kid at 18, it's a lot easier to have one at 23, at 25, at 27, at 37, right? And of course, they start having kids younger because statistically, when you come from a single mother home, which a lot of these families do in poverty, you are much more likely to have a teenage pregnancy. When you don't have the father in the home, much more likely to have some kind of teen pregnancy than if you had both parents in the home when you come from a stable family. So one of the reasons is because these women from the upper middle class is they're delaying pregnancy, and in the lower socioeconomic status, they just kind of accidentally get pregnant at a younger age. Number 2, birth control. So women who are in the middle to upper middle class socioeconomic status, they usually start taking birth control at a pretty young age because they have access to the conventional medical system, healthcare, they have access to doctors, they have access to the birth control, the pharmaceuticals themselves. In many cases, the lower socioeconomic status don't have access to. So a lot of these women are starting to take birth control when they're like 16 years old. because the doctors tell them it's going to be good for their menstrual cycle, because they don't want to have an unplanned pregnancy, because that's like the worst thing that can happen, right? So they start taking birth control at a young age. But when you start taking birth control at that young age and then take it for like 10 years, your body's not ovulating on birth control. Remember, it shuts down ovulation. It even shuts down proper menstruation. When you bleed in between the birth control pill, it's not menstruation. It's called a withdrawal bleed. So your natural hormonal cycle is shut down for 10 years that you're on the pill. So when you come off of it, it's harder for your body to suddenly bounce back and restart ovulation and restart the hormonal cycle. And it's a lot harder for you to get pregnant. And on the other hand, women living in poverty, they usually don't have the same access to birth control. So they get pregnant. And it's easier for them to get pregnant later because their fertility is not slammed with the birth control like the other women have been using since they were 15. Third is chronic stress. Stress is the silent killer of fertility that most women are not willing to admit or willing to even identify. You can be healthy, you can eat the right foods, you can exercise, but if you are chronically stressed out, which means that your cortisol is rising, and remember, your cortisol is derived from your progesterone, ladies, and your progesterone is the key in mood sleep stabilizer. It's extremely important for fertility. It's extremely important for getting pregnant, for staying pregnant. So if you're chronically stressed out, you're depleting progesterone in the body, which means it's going to be harder and harder to get pregnant. So these women, again, going back to these high-powered jobs, high-earning jobs, are chronically stressed out. And remember, there's no equivalent in this to men. So men's fertility is not affected the same way by stress as women's fertility is affected by stress. But women living in poverty, not to say that they don't have stresses in their life. Of course they do, especially if you're trying to provide for your kids and it's difficult, but they're not dealing with the same kind of chronic stress the same way that these women are in these high-powered jobs. So the chronic stress is very different in these demographics of women. And stress is going to kill the fertility and make it much harder to get pregnant. So that's another theory I have too. But I'm sure that there are more, but it is an interesting phenomenon, isn't it? Because you see a lot of these women who try for so long to have kids and they're of a certain demographic, but then they look at a lot of these women in poverty and they're like, how did you just pop out 5 babies? You're like smoking cigarettes every day, doing drugs. Some of these women are like addicted to crack and they have like 6 kids. And I had Dr. Charlie, a frequency functional medicine doctor you guys may follow. He's a friend of mine. We did an interview a while ago and he said, have you ever heard those stories? He said, where a woman tries so hard to get pregnant year after year after year, it doesn't work. And the second she stops trying, the second she gives up, bam, she's pregnant. He said, that's a lot to do with stress. They stop stressing about getting pregnant. Sometimes the thing that stops you from getting pregnant is stressing about getting pregnant. But as soon as you give up, throw in the towel and be like, fine, I'm not even going to stress about it. I give up trying. That's when the women get pregnant. So these women living in poverty, they're not trying to get pregnant. There's no stress about getting pregnant. And so they get pregnant. And of course, there are the little things like they don't have access to the birth control and the condoms the same way that women do in different demographics. So that's my theory. I'd love to hear your theory if there are any other theories that you have about why people living in these lower socioeconomic status, the poor women, are having way more babies. They're the ones who are going to keep the birth rate up, not the rich people. The rich people actually have fewer children. They usually have like 2 or just 1 kids, if any. That's it. That's all I got. Man, it's hot in the studio. It's hot. It's hot here in Tennessee. I'm sure it is where you are too. Thank you guys for listening. As always, please like the video, share it, subscribe to my channel, turn on the post notifications, and let me know what other topics you would like for me to cover. Hopefully I'll be able to have some more interviews coming in soon. Thank you all for the support. Please support the show by clicking any of the sponsor links. We've got some great products. Every Life diapers. I have a new sponsor called the Wellness Company, which I'm going to tell you about in the next episode. Of course, the prenatal vitamins, any of my programs that I sell online, and please join my women's group. It's got a lot of great stuff going on in there. So see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.